You know when you have panic attacks
Yeah.
on a Sunday evening,
Sure.
bro, that I'm going to work on a Monday.
Yeah.
You get to work and this is true, man. This is true.
Yeah.
You get there, bro, and you're like, you know what? Let me just spend some time in the bathroom, bro. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because I'm lost here.
Sure.
I'm like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
I'm lost, man, in this place. Right? So eventually, you know, I had to stop that. You know, within like 2-3 months.
Oh,
like
that was quick.
And from there on, you know, I'm not really getting articles, you know, to do.
Yeah.
You know, after LOB, you do articles
yes,
in
you
the
do
law
articles.
firm,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
whatever
sure,
it is.
sure.
You know, what I was just saying that I know what depression is.
Yeah.
Is, you know, when you wake up and you don't have hope, bro.
Eish.
Like it's like there's like a blanket over you.
Yeah.
And I really, you know, understand
Yeah.
when it says like, oh, this person was depressed. Because I mean you're dealing with all the disappointments, you're dealing with the disillusion. When you see someone who's jobless,
Yeah.
they're in a real bad situation because they actually don't know how to get inside.
Eish.
It's like society just locks you outside. You are not in the market. You know, you do not know how to produce anything. You are outside.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why you see people who cannot participate in the economy. That's why they become so hopeless at the end of the day.
I think personally, I use this other platform that you have for knowledge purposes. Even if I know that there is something that has been trending, I go there. I know I'll get a bit of summary of what has been happening. You know.
Yeah.
So just tell us a bit about yourself.
No, that's awesome, man. So I think, you know, first of all, child of God.
Sure.
You know, husband.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm a father.
You're a father
of
also.
two.
A father
you
of
know,
two.
I think those are my most important titles.
Sure.
You know,
I think if my co-host was here, he would tell me how I'm left behind myself. You know, they always like on my case about, hey Reggie, you need a helper. You know, so but we get in there.
Awesome.
One step at a time, and of course, you know, usually the more you change your cycle, you know, you'll get to also be mentored that some certain fears that you've been scared to take, certain steps that you've been scared to take, you can see that, hey, this thing is livable, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, with our friends, I'm sure you've got no way out, bro.
Sure. And I also
You're the only one left.
I'm the only one left, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we get in there. and I mean also the fact that you're a child of God, I'm sure you might have noticed that we are a Christian radio station, you know, so we strongly are for the Christian ethics, you know, and we would also like to see Christian prospering in certain areas of life, and not see certain things as the things of the world, you know. I think I've told you also about this previous show, the previous show that just came out from radio, where we talk about money. So there's a lot of controversy there, usually, because people would say money is the root of all evil. And
No, man. I mean, people only respect money, man.
Sure,
people only respect money, to be honest. If you're looking from a world point of view,
yeah,
the reality is, you know, the people who are respected the most,
yeah,
have got the most money.
Sure,
even in terms of the religions that are respected the most, they're the religions with the most money.
Yeah.
You know, so for example, today I saw one of the, you know, it's like food delivery service.
Yeah.
And I think it's a new food delivery service.
Oh,
I just saw
nice,
the advert, right? It was written there, you know, strictly halal. You know,
Strictly?
that's halal.
Oh,
you know,
yes,
that's what they're
Sure.
going with to market.
Yeah,
and for them,
yeah.
they're like, no, this group of people, they're sufficient for us.
Sure.
Let's appeal to this group of people because they've got the money.
Because they've got the
if
money,
you go
yeah.
to certain places like airports, for example, you see that certain groups have got prayer rooms, right?
Yes, of course.
Try to say you are to a church venue at an airport. See what they say. You know, try to go
No,
to...
you actually just hit me now.
To a mall, right?
Yeah.
And say, you know what, we also want a prayer room, you know, to do our prayers. Like just tell me about it. But it's because, you know, it's about the money.
The money.
You know, right now, for example, churches a lot. It's the issues with venues, for example.
Of course.
But if you go to certain places before the community is already built, the mosque is up. You know what I'm trying to say?
True,
because they've got the money. To do that.
I've never looked at it this
and
way.
we are stressed about trying to get permits, try to get
Sure.
zoning and all these things.
Sure.
But some people, when they build their estates, already they put up their temples there, and no one can say anything.
Sure.
But you want to go in a neighborhood to build a church, you now start talking about zoning. You now start talking about objections and all these things. So money is very important. I think as Christians, we really need to settle it in our hearts and just know that that's part of our covenant rights.
I've never thought of it that way, to be honest. I mean, you would look at so many churches that are trying to start, and the incomplete buildings. Yeah, you find, and it takes like 10 years, and then a mosque, it's just a quick plan.
Yeah, it's not even an issue, man.
quick. So we actually have a challenge. We have a challenge as the body of Christ to ensure that we become people who are productive and people with money.
No, definitely, man, definitely. So it's part of who I am, right? So it's part of who I am, being an entrepreneur.
Yes.
As well. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. That's the reality of my life. I've always wanted to be in business. I remember, back in the day, going to church, selling. I remember my dad had a this machine or a business that produced what do they call them, like ice lollies or something, for drinking in these plastics.
Sure.
I remember I sell those at church, right? Put them in a cooler box.
Used to sell,
sell them at church, to make some money, like personally, right?
Yeah.
I remember, the other time he was into farming, and I say, you know what? Why don't you, get me like a pig, a carcass, and I'll basically, make some chops, pork chops, go to some hotels, try and sell this and push this and all these things. So I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. But what I found out is basically expressing that desire. I think that's the greatest problem that we get, right? Getting the right, how am I going to express this desire of entrepreneurship that I have? How am I going to be a business person? What sort of products am I going to sell? What service am I going to provide? And I think that's where the disconnect is. For a lot of, would-be entrepreneurs to say exactly what am I going to, provide the market with. And man, it can be a painful journey. I did that. I did that whole journey before I figured out
what exactly you want.
What exactly I want. What exactly, right now, for example, this is our 9th year in a business which I basically started in 2016.
Sure.
Providing legal services, labor law services. And so that's how I've been able to express, that entrepreneurial desire, right? Providing services, solving problems, for a monetary return. And of course, I'm producing content. Produce on both sides. This is now more Success Inspiration Academy. That's now more
my inspiration.
Your inspiration, right? That's now more like not only do I seek to actually empower people through knowledge. So whatever I post out there, for me, there's always an element of there has to be something that's going to help someone. In this story, if we talk about a story of someone who goes to a dealership, for example, and their car is stolen, and the dealership is like, we are not responsible. It's for you, or a car wash. When they say we are not responsible. That, it's so my desire is that the audience is actually saying, okay, so I need to watch out for this. When I go with my car here, I still need to make sure that my car is safe. Because these guys, according to the law, they can turn around and say they're not responsible.
Can I give you a testimony? Right around that story, I saw it also. I saw that clip when you gave the story of someone who left their car at car wash. I think then and another individual came and said, Reggie has sent me to come and collect the car, right? Yeah, so I went to a car wash one time. And that story actually came back. And mind you, the car wash that I went to, it was actually at the Kasi, you know. So now I've got my key. I asked the owner, do I leave the key with you? The owner said, no, give it to the boy. And then I go to the boy, they say I must give you a key. No, give it to the owner. In that moment, I just thought, I think my car is in danger here, you know, because who am I going to hold responsible, you know? And such legalities, I mean, you'd find the car wash doesn't even have a disclaimer to say, look, whatever happens, we won't be held liable, you know. But eventually, I decided to sit and wait for the car.
Wow, and I think in that moment, that was the best decision that you've made.
Yeah,
you know, and that's so. Those are the sort of things that, you know, when I post content, I want people to know about, right? I want people to have a lesson. You know, if I post about someone who's been struggling to remove a relative from their house for 7 years, you know, the point is not for us to just say, oh, look at the struggle they're going through. It's for you to say, okay, this can happen to me. To me also. And what is my recourse? This is what I'm going to have to go through if I'm going to, you know, get this problem solved. You know, and so that's the point of the content, right? But so it ends within that as well. You know, I've also managed to find, you know, in that, like, you know, to say, okay, so what's, number one, the listeners find benefit, but who else is going to find benefit for it?
Sure.
Which has been, you know, businesses as well, which are now, you know, finding my platform as a platform whereby they can connect to the audience. To the audience. And that's very important at the end of the day, because if you're going to create content, you have to know how you're going to make the money from content. And that's the only way you're going to keep on going. But I would want to circle back really just in terms of, you know, my actual journey. In terms of where, and then I know maybe you're going to ask that. So I'm going to let you ask me the next question if that's not what you wanted us to talk about now.
That's what I wanted actually.
But I'll let you ask whatever.
Okay. I just want to, you know, you gave a story around like your entrepreneurship journey. I mean, young people, mostly in Africa, most of the time we are thinking the system is one. You know, oh, well, we thought. Let me not, maybe your age group, Happy's age group, you thought success looks like this. You go to school, go to varsity, and then you get into employment. But then when I hear about your story, already at a very young age, you were breaking the laws that Jesus didn't want of selling in church. You know? But I mean, it was after church. It was after church. You know, so what inspired that? Was it, are you coming from a background where like entrepreneurship has been encouraged, or it was just in you to say, I just want entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I think obviously my dad was an entrepreneur. Yeah, my dad was an entrepreneur, still is an entrepreneur, does his things. So, but also I think for me, it was just this thing of being a businessman, right? Whatever it meant, success, you know, for me it meant success. For me, it meant, you know, being the leader, you know, making things happen. That's what it meant for me, you know, and I think that's all that I wanted. So for me, I think the issue was, I think I'd already read Rich Dad Poor Dad in high school, right? So in high school I already read this book. So I sort of somehow knew that, you know, whether it was like corporate, maybe that wasn't really my thing at the end of the day, to just be a straight up employee, and that was my life, and that was what's going to be like. My dream is to be a billionaire in US dollar terms. Like that's who I see myself as, right? That's what I want to do, you know? And so I had already like read this book and all these things. And to be honest with you, circling back, the reality is this. For me personally, I really had a lot of confusion with regards to career path. Let me be honest with you. You know, and it was really a point of, you know, like frustration. You know, I think for a lot of kids out there, you know, for a lot of people out there, I met someone yesterday who actually completed his articles at Bowman's, you know, and after he had completed attorney, he dropped that. He's now into cybersecurity.
Sure.
Running his own business in cybersecurity. So I feel like when it comes to career guidance, I think sometimes some people, or just speak from myself, we don't really have the knowledge that's out there, or really like a clarity in terms of, okay, this is what I want. But again, you look at society, you look at the economy and say, okay, but where does this fit in? Am I going to make money from this?
Sure,
so it's your gift and talent that you've been given, but how am I going to express this gift and talent? And it can be a point of so much frustration, right, if you are not guided properly. So for me, for example, my first biggest challenge was
choosing that career.
Yeah, choosing that career, but it actually emanated from this. My first big challenge is I do what we'd call like, before you go to matric, like here, for example, back home we do what we called O levels, for example. Okay. Until you choose. So that's 10 subjects.
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
That's 10 subjects or 11 subjects.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So imagine I have 8 A's, 2 B's, and a C. I've literally like murdered these exams. I've murdered everything, brother. So that's what I've done. But so this guy has done all these things, but still he doesn't have a clue about what he wants to do. Now I have to be in a situation where I have to choose 3 subjects now, going into A level, right? Then going to varsity.
Sure.
What are those 3 subjects going to be? And for example, for me at where I did my O levels, for example, imagine we had 4 classes in that last, in that last stream, or in that last level. And the only reason, so the way we were grouped, the first class, with the real smart guys, they were doing all the sciences. So they're the pure, the maths is everyone else, but they're the pure physics, pure chemistry. Then obviously everyone had biology. Then they gave them accounting, right? Then us with the second best class, so that's 4A and 4D. And 4D, but now what they branded 4D as, it's now branded as the arts class. So these are the guys who are expected to be strong at arts. So obviously, like for me, for example, I like, my thing is writing. I can write, I can comprehend and whatever it is. So I fall into that class. But can you imagine that the only reason we're not given accounting is because there were not enough teachers? Sure. So already that's taken away from you.
It's a disadvantage.
Simply because in that particular school, there were not enough accounting teachers. And so our whole path is now, designed and taken somewhere because of issues of resources, for example. Not that maybe I was going to be a chartered accountant, but I'm just giving an example to say that you see how sort of like the economic structure of the day, wherever you are, will sort of force you to go into a certain path, right? And everyone's like, okay, you're the arts guy or whatever it is. So I murder all these courses, right? Now I'm going to A level. And now my older sister is trying to help me, saying, okay, so she was working for a corporate, try to do these psychometric tests, right? To say, what is your leaning and whatever.
Yeah, I know those.
Dude, I manipulated those tests to actually come out as if I could be a pilot. That's exactly what I did. You know what I'm trying to say? Sure. Then what happens after that? It's because like there's so much pressure to know. Like, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're going to do, right? So I do that. Then anyway, A-levels, this is what I do. I end up studying, I think I did maths, I did physics, I do geography, right?
Okay. No accounting.
This is no accounting. This is my first sort of choice of subjects, right? MPG, you've said you can be a pilot, you do engineering and all these things. Man. Physics smoked me, bro. Maths smoked me, brother.
And by that time, back at all level, you were smoking them.
But you see, the thing is with me, I think I'd never really passed maths. Okay. Coming up, the normal terms and tests and all that. Dude, but when it came to crunch time, dude, I made sure that I had all the resources in order to make sure that I'm going to pass, right? But it didn't mean that now I'm great at maths. Yes, I passed at that level. But you see, with people, everyone has got their own inclinations, bro.
Sure.
At the end of the day, you had those guys who they'll be messing around in class, but they just need to know. I don't know if it's how their brain is wired, but if they tell them what the equations and whatever it is, it's not a stress. That's their thing.
Sure.
But the same person, you talk about history, you talk about comprehension, composition. Can you please? They can't.
Yeah, they can't.
But the challenge is, certain things are promoted. Say, this is what
this is the path. Yeah.
So anyway, fortunately for me, and now I'm at a private school, bro. Like this school is a private school.
Yeah.
And people have paid a lot of money for this.
Yeah.
And man, I just had to be honest. I told my dad, hey, this thing was a mistake.
While you're at the private school now.
This thing was a mistake. I can't do physics. It's not going to work out for me. All right, cool. What are we going to do? Okay, I'm going to change the physics to management of business. So it's now maths, MOB, and geography. But I should have just dropped maths. I should have just dropped it, and left it at that.
Because it had showed you flames.
It had showed me, coming in, what, dude, this, drop this thing. What I'm trying to say? Yeah. But, for whatever reason, I went on with it, didn't do great at it at the end of the day. Did great at the management of business, and geo and whatever. Then now, what's next? What's next is, now you have to apply for varsity.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And I end up doing LLB, right?
LLB,
LLB. I end up doing law, right? So, so I do my law adverts. It's all good. You know what I'm trying to say? I can read and comprehend stuff. I think I'm wired like that. So I can give you solutions and all these things. And we do that, sharp. Graduate,
and then you graduate,
all these things.
And then were you hitting straight A's that side, or
dude, I was playing at varsity. Dude, like we're watching series.
Sure,
we do about 24. We were watching 24. We are doing all these things, and not that we would study when we study. I mean, we're not bad. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I think there was a lack of focus. Because when I compare with the kids, for example, who already had uncles, who already had parents who were attorneys.
Yeah.
They knew exactly what
it takes. Yeah. And also what it takes.
You understand?
Yeah.
They already had been to the courts. They already had been in law firms.
Sure.
And us who were just saying, okay, we're doing law. Yes, we're doing law, but we didn't have a point of reference.
Yeah,
our point of reference was not strong.
Sure.
We were just doing this thing. For the sake that we're going to do a degree.
Or sometimes you just had that there's money that side.
There's money that side, you can, or maybe your qualifications are for this, you can get into this, this is the only program that is accepting you. And we end up doing it. But I honestly realized that there's a difference between the kids who knew exactly why they were doing this, but because they also had the exposure. They also had that second generation which had already graduated.
Sure, they have an experience.
They have an experience, and I think that's very important. That's a game changer right there.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, I also saw a lot of my friends, who I was studying with, a lot of kids who we started first year with in varsity who dropped out.
Sure.
A lot of them, they were there. They dropped out of varsity. All of a sudden, law wasn't for them.
Sure. Now, you're making me wonder, because here's another thing that tends to come up, the moment a young person discovers that I am meant to be an entrepreneur, they tend not to value education. And then even in class, they are like, nah. I mean, you actually listen to a lot of wealthy people, their success stories. I dropped out at first year, dropped out at matric, Don't you think maybe that also is an influence? The moment you know that I am called to be an entrepreneur, and then when you look at education, you just feel like it feels like a waste of time.
So I'm going to get to that.
Yeah.
So this is the thing, right? This is where I really want to for young people to understand, even everyone else, to actually get. You want to be an entrepreneur, but an entrepreneur in what?
Sure.
What is your product and what is your service? Has this product or service been tested? So this is where I'm going to get to, right? So I'm done with varsity.
Sure.
Right? I do that. Then I become what is called a research and teaching associate.
Okay. So that's incorporate.
Adverts,
yeah, sure.
Because I can also teach. That's also one of my gifts.
Sure.
I love teaching.
Yes.
I teach people, and that's what I do. So I do this, but then again, I did that for 1 year. But now there's this thing in the back of or this voice, which says to be in corporate. So that's academia. It's not corporate.
Sure, it's not corporate. It's
right?
Yeah.
So what I end up doing now is that I join these management consultants.
Okay.
Who are doing consulting work. This is now business-like.
Sure.
So they were doing projects with ESCOM and whatever it is. Dude, I can't do PowerPoint to save my life, bro. Give me a Word document. Give me a Word document. Yeah. I can write. I can do something for you.
But come Excel, your PowerPoint.
Dude, those things you just write on your CV that I know PowerPoint. Like, can you give us a formula in Excel? Let's see what happens.
I think a lot of people would write their Microsoft
Excel,
Office 2018, even worse.
So now I'm working with these guys. And I'm like, dude, this is not
my thing.
I'm out of my depth here. This is not my thing.
Yeah.
When you have panic attacks on a Sunday evening.
Sure.
Then I'm going to work on a Monday.
Yeah.
You get to work and this is true, man. This is true.
Yeah.
You get there, bro, and you're like, you know what? Let me just spend some time in the bathroom, bro. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Because I'm lost here.
Sure.
I'm like a fish out of water.
Yeah.
I'm lost, man, in this place. Right? So eventually, I had to stop that. Within like 2-3 months.
Oh,
like
that was quick.
I wasn't. If you're not where you're supposed to be, you're not supposed to be.
You didn't try and say, no, I'll figure it out.
Dude, there was no figuring it out, bro.
Yeah.
Like this was in my mind at least.
Sure.
This was not going to happen, right? And from there on, I remember, during that time or thereafter, I'm just trying to figure out, what should I do? What should I do? And there's this whole, thing of, entrepreneurship and all these things. I'm not really getting articles, to do.
Yeah.
After LOB, you do articles
yes,
at a law firm, whatever it is.
Sure.
And I'm like, man, what do I do? And my older sister, I remember having a talk with her. So she asked me, but what do you want to do? Then I'm like, you know what? What I want to do is that I want to write books.
Okay.
I want to talk. To motivate people. And I want to, from the church front, I want to be, I want to preach and whatever it is. Then she had one question for me.
Sure.
She's like, who is going to listen to you?
Okay.
Who is going to listen
to you?
Why? You do not have the experience.
And how do you then get this experience?
You do not have the experience. So this is the thing. So I said, okay, cool. I hear what you're saying. I don't have the experience. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's the thing whereby, so you asked about this issue of, yes, I want to be an entrepreneur and whatever it is. But again, an entrepreneur in what? So what then happens is that, I do this crazy program. One day I see this advert, I reply, these guys are promising you to run your own business, to set you up to run your own business, right?
Sure.
And I respond to the advert. These guys are in Randburg.
Yeah.
And it's a sales thing,
Sure.
like whereby it's direct selling, right?
Yeah.
So it was a whole thing. It was a whole vibe.
Yeah.
It was a crazy experience, bro. I mean, we are the guys who used to like sell Edgar's cards. We would open your accounts in Edgar's.
Oh, okay.
Approach you in Edgar's, open your account.
Find me.
Then I mean, would even so depending on the campaign, then we had this one Vodacom crazy campaign.
Yeah.
Where we would go in the streets, B2C. We'd talk to people that so it taught me sales, right?
Sure. I was about to ask, what has that done for you?
That thing taught me sales, man. It was a brutal thing.
You are actually in a sea and fishing.
Yeah, but imagine, bro, you're a whole LB graduate. So you're in Braamfontein. You're opening Vodacom, selling Vodacom SIM cards and all these things, on the promise of running a business, right? It was a crazy thing, man. I mean, we used to go to that place, wake up at 5 a.m., bro. Yeah. You go to that place, it starts at 6. There's music pumping. They used to call it the atmosphere.
LLB graduate. I want to
imagine that. Yeah. Bro, it was crazy, man. There were other young people. You wear like black and white. It was crazy, man. There was like an atmosphere. I mean, the guys, if in those circles are like cults, bro. Yeah. I mean, because the energy levels, which are there, like what's expected to you, like the confidence levels on some of the business guys who say, no, I've made it and built my office now. It was just like a place like this, right? Another office would be there, you'll be there, and you should always be busy writing notes, writing the system, the whole sales system around there. And my challenge is that I'm a very... If I set my mind to do something, sometimes to my own detriment, then I'll keep at that thing.
Sure.
Until I see,
until it's like success, and
it's failure. This thing has failed. There's no business that's gonna be open here. Yeah. And I mean, you've already spent a year, right, doing this, and there's nothing that's coming out of it. And after quitting that, stopping that, I was really disillusioned, man. If you want to talk about depression, I know what depression is.
You know what that is.
I know. I actually know what depression is. Yeah. Probably been depressed maybe twice.
Sure. But tell me, because look, there's so many entrepreneurs possibly also tuned into radio now, and I also have my journey of entrepreneurship, and so many businesses that have been started and have failed, And a question that we would usually ask is, when do you know that now it's time to stop? Because there's also this thing of, no, it's a journey,
Dude, I think the way you start, man, there are so many basics that sometimes we miss. When we start these businesses, to say, is this something the market really needs? How scalable is this business? Sure. What does this business really take to make money? Because the challenge is that, sometimes you can be caught up in activity and not productivity. So we can be doing a lot. Yes. But how much are we actually getting it? Yeah. How much effort is needed for us to produce a rand in this business? Sure. Are we producing anything in this business? Or are we just going?
Busy doing nothing.
You understand? Yeah. So basically, and I'm going to tell you what basically got me to something that works. Yeah. Right? Sure. Is this. So I'm in this situation whereby now I'm like, what am I going to do? When what I was just saying, that I know what depression is. Yeah. Is, when you wake up and you don't have hope, bro. Like it's like there's like a blanket over you, and I really, understand when it says like, oh, this person was depressed or whatever it is. It's only something that God can help you out of, to be honest with you, right? And I know that because I mean you're dealing with all the disappointments, you're dealing with the disillusion. But sometimes you see, and I was seeing the other day, and I'm like, someone who's outside, when you see someone who's jobless, they're in a real bad situation because they actually don't know how to get inside. It's like society just locks you outside. You are not in the market. You do not know how to produce anything. You are outside. And that's why you see people who cannot participate in the economy. That's why they become so hopeless at the end of the day. But for me, what then happened is that, I remember one day I was like, okay, I'm going to look for jobs. In the legal space. Let's take out that degree, use what you have. Yes. And one day I just, stumbled on an advert. I think it was on Gumtree. This is how far back this was. I think this guy was even advertising on Gumtree. And I'm like, okay, let me send this guy an email or whatever it is. Let me get in touch with him. They say, okay, man, we do labor law. We help people with CCMA cases.
Yes.
And that's what we do.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I get the job and I start doing my thing. That job just gave it 100%. And I mean, it was such a crazy place.
Sure.
Because I mean, it was a lot of clients, a lot of action, and it was a lot of, turnaround of employees. Because to be honest with you, the salary wasn't great, bro. I think I was earning 5,000 rand, bro.
Sure.
I couldn't even stay alone. I had to actually share
with someone.
Share apartments,
sure.
And all these things, because the money just wasn't enough. You share like a 1-bedroom apartment or whatever you do, right? And because this money is not enough.
Yeah.
And the thing is that in that moment, there are also a lot of, voices, because what are you doing here? You
sure.
know?
And who's asking that? Is it yourself?
No. I mean, society, right?
Oh,
I mean, you've got, whether it's families, like,
yes.
dude, it's 5,000.
5,000.
5,000.
Sure.
And it's not a lot of money. Why don't you look, for law firms and all these things, or whoever is saying that. And but the thing is this, for me, I've always, when I'm somewhere,
yeah.
regardless of what's happening around me, regardless of the pressure, the noise, if I'm settled there,
yeah,
I'm settled. If God is not saying leave, I'm sitting.
You're sitting. Sure.
And it's just the way it works. I'm not someone who jumps from place to place.
Okay.
It's always been moving on to the next thing.
Okay.
Move on to the next thing when the time is right.
Yeah.
And it's almost as if you just walk into it. You don't have to strive into it.
Yes, sure.
So for me, what I saw on a practical level when I was there, I'm like, okay, I'm learning from this guy.
Sure.
He might not be a great guy, but I'm learning from this guy.
You're learning something.
You know what I'm trying to say?
I love that, actually.
And what I did was just, I actually just gave myself to the business.
Amazing.
To help this guy, reach his goals reach his dreams. Regardless of the amount of turnover, regardless of people who are even there, leaving this place, they pay peanuts and whatever it is. For me, it was just, there's something significant I'm doing here.
And then there's something actually that you're also taking.
There's something I'm also taking, because what am I doing?
Yeah.
Instead of being an enemy with the boss.
Sure.
Which a lot of people, that's where they make mistakes.
Sure.
They think their boss is their enemy. They think their supervisor is their enemy.
Yeah.
No. Someone just put it so beautifully. They say that going to work is like going to school and getting paid for it.
Scriptures also put it simple. When you find something to do it heartily as unto the Lord.
That's true.
And you also look at it as a form of a process. When you are becoming faithful with this little that's been given to you, and you make sure that you are productive, you are effective in it, then more can be trusted unto you.
More can be trusted, man.
Yeah.
So in it, I was also, for example, along those lines, I saw an article the other day of a lady who was working for Warren Buffett.
Yes.
And she went on to start her own, investment company.
Yeah.
Right. But for her, she was now investing in the company that Berkshire was now too big for. Right, Warren Buffett's, and she was now investing. That's how she started her business.
Sure.
But guess what? After all those years, when she left, she had a recommendation from Warren Buffett, telling the whole world that
this
lady, you can work with this lady.
Yeah.
What more of a reference do you need?
Sure.
You understand?
Yeah.
But our challenge is that, and I say, as you know, I work in the labor law space, so I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Sure.
People are wasting their time, fighting with their supervisors, thinking that, this place has to give me the world. Do you even know who the clients of your business are, of your company, of your employer are?
Yeah.
Do you even know what they do? Do you even understand what your employer is doing, what business they do, or you are just pushing, whatever deliverable you have to, to push?
Sure.
You're just a cog in the machine. Have you ever looked outside to see what does the machine look like? You know what I'm trying to say?
Sure.
And that's where a lot of people have a myopic view. You know, instead of getting an opportunity to say, okay, yeah, in this company, who are our service providers?
Sure.
You know, okay, this company, we do X. This company supplies this for us. You know, maybe I can run a business like that.
Sure.
You know, we supply that or whatever it is. Instead of being bogged down in the noise.
Yeah.
You understand?
Sure.
Come out of that noise.
Sure.
You know, so that you can actually see the path that you are supposed to go.
I
so
love it.
basically, you know, I worked, you know, some years there. Then things were not really working out because, as I said, the guy was crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I could no longer be in that company anymore. And basically in 2016, after December holidays,
Sure.
you know, I had to went to visit my wife and all these things. Was still my girlfriend then, and to their home country, you know, saw their family and whatever. Came back, no cent. You know, I was just like in January.
Knew me.
I'm not going back.
You ended in a resignation.
Dude, I'm like getting my resignation.
But by that time, you've extracted so much value, the experience, and then possibly build a good reputation for yourself.
Do you know what I know? What do we do? Who are our clients?
Sure.
How do we service them? How do we get the clients?
Sure.
So how do we get clients? The marketing.
Yes.
How do you service them?
Sure.
The execution. And how do you get paid? If you can answer those three questions.
Sure. I absolutely love that because I think currently we have a lot of young people who are sitting in corporate, frustrated, very angry at their supervisors and their bosses. Why? Because they expected them to give them the world, you know, but now failing to actually realize what is it that I'm taking from here. Even if I'm considering, or I believe I'm called to be an entrepreneur, you know, I'm learning how to do marketing there. If I'm in finance, I get to see how are the finances being handled. If I'm in admin, I get to see the administration, how is it run. Guess what? When I start my business, all of these skills, I've learned them free of charge while being paid.
While being paid, and also to catch the spirit.
Sure.
Yes, the guy you have problems with, maybe your boss is not a very nice person.
Yeah.
But what got him to where he is right now? What can you glean from that?
Sure.
You know, we catch a spirit.
Yeah.
Someone's spirit is caught. You don't get taught that. You catch, this guy's attitude when things are tough.
Sure.
This is what he does. This is how he handles these situations where things are difficult, right?
Sure.
So that's basically the benefits when you work somewhere. So basically, you know, I come out there, no money.
There was no package of when you resign, you're going to get.
Now, I have to, remember I resigned, man. And I just resigned. So it wasn't even you get anything.
Did you put any notice though?
I was avoiding saying that I resigned with immediate effect, bro. Though I advise people not to do it, but I did.
Sure, yeah.
So now, unfortunately, they didn't come after me or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But now that's the thing. It's like, okay, where do you start from? I need money to fund this business. I'm going to come. I need to get a website. I need to start advertising.
Sure.
You know, I knew how to advertise. We advertise on Google and all these things. All those things need money.
Yeah.
So now I have to source the funds.
Sure.
You know, and the people who are close to, that's where you get your funds, man. But what do you show them?
Sure.
I show them the business plan.
Not what you have in your mind.
This is the business plan.
Sure.
And guess what? They also knew my stories of success when I was there.
Yeah.
Guys, this is what we've done. This is how much we've made.
Sure.
This is how much I made. So they already knew that, this guy was actually excited about this business. Because when I left, I was in the management team.
Oh, that's
right.
great.
I was probably number 3 there.
Yeah.
When I left. You understand?
Sure.
So they know that this guy was the guy there. This guy probably knew the business. A lot of people say that their families and their relatives don't give them money, but they know you, bro.
They know.
They know you.
They know how
That's
much.
why they're not gonna give you anything. They knew that you were just complaining at that business.
Yeah.
They knew that you're not cut out for hardship.
Sure.
They knew all those things.
I usually tell people that, look, sometimes we think people owe us a belief. Like, I believe in you, Reggie. You know, whenever I come up with something new that they have never seen, I just want them to believe in me. Hence, even if I become successful, I see them as the enemy. They never thought I was going to be successful, you know.
But what are you showing them?
Time. Yeah, we're running out of time, and I feel like we gotta need a season 2 for this. I just want to talk about the social media platform now. You know,
awesome.
The Success Academy.
Inspiration Academy.
Yeah. You know, this space of social media, it's a thing these days. I just want to know what inspired you to just basically start thinking of that type of content, because I'm just thinking it's quite unique, you know. For me, I also take it as my newspaper, my daily newspaper. I go there and then I want to see what happened today. You know, I know I'll find something that's trending.
Awesome, man. So I probably started posting content in 2020, bro.
Sure.
Right?
Oh, during COVID, yeah.
It's been a long time posting content.
Sure.
Right? Remember I said I wanted to be a preacher. So I always wanted to talk. That's what I told my sister, right? So I've always wanted to communicate, right? To share ideas with people and all these things, to hear their feedback and all these things, right? But again, it's obviously that's the time that we found ourselves in.
Yes.
But however, it has been a journey of learning what works.
Sure.
It's been a journey.
Yeah.
To get to that place where, and I had so many mistakes. I remember my first live. My first time when I was growing my platform, I did this whole follow for follow thing.
Sure.
Whereby you follow people, they follow, then you're growing, on TikTok and whatever it is. Then I realized that, dude, those people, they don't watch your content because you've gotten them not because of value.
Of value.
Because they follow for follow. They got what they needed from you. You followed them,
and
that's
what was
it. You know, they don't. And I remember my first live I did, you know, on TikTok, and I just prepared this thing, and I'm talking, and this is one person. Because you can see that there's one person who's come, then they go. Then this other person commented, "Who are you shouting at?" Dude, I got to quit right there. That was a quitting, you know, opportunity right there. That life presents you with all these opportunities. So it's been a while, bro. I've done so many things. I used to do lives every morning, 7 a.m. for entrepreneurs, because the entrepreneur chat. On Facebook, on TikTok, whereby we talk to different people who are good at sales, people who are good at whatever, and interview them and all these things. But obviously, you know, with my, I got 2 kids from there, so I was never going to be able to do that after that. You know, so it's been a journey, but now it's learning what works. You know, it's people. So you get a skill, and you get to understand, you know, your brand. You have to stand for something. If you're building a platform, this is the other thing. You don't build a platform for what you like. Build a platform for what the audience
like.
There's so many things I like. But what I've learned is, someone said, you know, either you are educating, you're empowering, or you're entertaining. I'm not a comedian. I'm not a dancer. I can't entertain. I can't do those dance challenges. You know, I'm not like just straight out just start motivating. Someone with that talent can just come and say, you know, in life you have to do this and this, and everyone's like, million views. But if I do that, it won't stick. But if I back what I want to teach you with a story, that's trending out there, or even if it's not trending, even if it's like a significant story. When I say to you, there's a stepmom who now wants to sell her property, but the will also said that the sons of they own the property. Then I put a story behind that. That's something significant.
And also adding value to someone else.
It's adding value and it's significant. And that's how, you know, that's the direction God has showed me, that do this and it works. You know, and it works all the time. But also when you're building your platform, for example, you know, if someone else, now businesses are coming to me saying that, hey, can you please advertise this for me? Can you please show my story and whatever it is, right? And now people are telling me, you know, your gift is storytelling. You do that. And that's what I do. I can't try anything else. I just have to do that, right? Because you have to be on brand. Bro, there are certain things. There are people who have built their platforms on, you know, insulting people. if imagine it's Hope, okay, let's say we're Hope Alive, we know.
Yeah.
Let's just say it was Hope Alive, even without the spiritual context.
Yes.
You know, but you want to say, okay, can you please tell these people that we can advertise for businesses? You are the content creator, or we are pushing this service.
Yeah.
People are like, no, we don't want to hear that from you.
Yes.
I want you to tell me the latest gossip.
Sure.
Tell me the latest scandal. Tell me the latest person who is cheated. That's your brand. Give me your brand.
Sure.
Don't give me this logic stuff. I'll listen to someone else about logic. You just give me the gossip. So it's very important how you build your platform.
Sure.
You have to build a brand which people are going to find value in.
Sure.
Which other people are going to say, okay, we can advertise our things here.
Yeah.
Or we can ask this guy to tell the world significant things, and you grow from there.
Amazing, amazing. Time flies when we are having fun. I can't believe it's been an hour already, you know. So just closing remarks, you know, for our guests. I'm thinking mostly, especially young people who want to go into entrepreneurship. Most of them are into also social media, you know. I think you've advised us around that, finding your own brand, the one that you will stick to. A person should know that when they come to you, you sell chicken, not any other thing, you know. So the entrepreneurs who are entering this journey, just in 15 seconds, parting words.
So since this is a Christian channel, God is on your side. God wants you to succeed. Number two, you know, find something to do.
Sure.
Whatever you can. If you can volunteer for now.
Sure.
You will find your success. God will show you the path to success, right? But find something to do. Don't just wake up sleeping. Don't just go somewhere and volunteer. Go to a barber shop. Go to a restaurant. Go to a shop and volunteer. Do something. Don't just stay seated.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Henry was with us. Thank you very much, sir, for being with us.
Awesome.
I am thinking we definitely need a season 2 of this. Till we meet again, ladies and gentlemen, next week, same time, same place.
Cheers, bye-bye.